Okay, are you ready for the answers as to the top 5 most loved brands in the United States? I swear this is scientifically based somewhere. Someone did a study. I don't necessarily agree with this. Tyler, my fabulous videographer, definitely says, no way, thumbs down on this situation. Yeah, and you'll see why in a second. Number 1, the United States Postal Service. Within the last 2 weeks, they lost one of my largest checks that has ever been sent to me. I was not a fan that day. Might have said a couple of colorful words that might have gotten my mouth washed out with soap when I was a kid. Yeah, not a fan. My agent wound up having to wire the money to me to make sure that I got it, for crying out loud. That is not reliable, consistent, fabulous service. If they had competition, I'm pretty sure that people would use something else. Number 2 is Google. I don't know about you. I wind up using Google for everything. Recently, I bought an air fryer and I absolutely love it, but I was absolutely terrified of it because I was convinced I was going to burn my house down. I Google a new recipe pretty much every day. I Google directions. I Google everything you can think of, and you probably do as well. Of the things on this list, Google is definitely in my top 5. So as we're going through this list, think about what are your top 5? What are your top 5 most loved brands? And more importantly, why? Why are you so loyal to those brands? Why are you committed to those brands? And I'd love to have that conversation with you. Number 3 is UPS. UPS, most of the time they're great. And I can't think of any recent tragedies that have occurred with UPS, but yeah, I love things that come in the mail, especially from number 4, Amazon. Amazon for me is probably my number 2. I utilize Amazon for everything from purchasing my vitamins to dog treats to presents for my grandchildren. All day, every day, I am buying things on Amazon, and I pulled in a package on my way out the door to come here and record this video for you. So I love it when happy things show up in Amazon packages. There's a reason that the little arrow looks like a smiley face. Number 5 is Netflix. And we're going to talk more about Netflix in a minute when it comes to consumer sovereignty and their ability to pivot. They've done an incredible job over the last 8 to 10 years of going from their original business model to something that looks entirely different. And while we're here at Netflix, let's talk about consumer sovereignty. What is the principle of consumer sovereignty? Basically, that consumers, knowing what they want and need, drive demand in the marketplace. So let's go back and talk about Netflix for a second, shall we? Netflix, when they originally came out, some of you may remember, some of you are like, what? They never did that. Netflix originally had a service that you could go online, order your movies, and they would show up in your mailbox. This was counter to the culture of the time where we used to drive down to the video store. It was somebody's responsibility to pick out the movies for the evening or for the weekend and bring them home. You would rent them at Blockbuster, right? And then you would bring them home, watch the movies, and then you'd have to return them. Some of you may still have those rewinder machines in your basement somewhere because we had to return the movie rewound. Otherwise, we got charged. Remember that? Then consumers said, we really don't want to get in the car to drive, to go pick out a movie. And what if the movie that we want is already rented? And they absolutely pivoted entirely and helped to develop something that is part of our everyday lives today, and that is streaming services. Consumers demanded something different. Netflix was able to pivot successfully. Blockbuster Video, not so much. As a result, Netflix is probably part of your daily life, or at least your weekly life, most likely. Blockbuster? Probably not. Since last I heard, there was only one location left in the United States of America, and I think it might be in Alaska. I don't know about you, but I haven't visited Alaska to go to a Blockbuster anytime in the last ever. So yeah, not a thing. So just recognize that consumers let us know what it is they want and need, no matter what it is. You are a consumer. What is it that you want and need? What is it that you demand? We need to put ourselves in the shoes of consumers when it comes to how they want to be served in a real estate capacity. And we need to pay more attention to that. And for that, I have an amazing podcast interview, episode number 3, when my interview with Neil Walter, the CEO of ERA Brokers Consolidated. They are the number 3 ERA franchise in the United States of America. The man is absolutely brilliant. And we talk about consumer sovereignty. So make sure and check that out as well. The 3 threats that you face as a real estate professional today are distraction, competition, and commoditization. Distraction is everything from pop-up ads to emails to billboards to any other media that consumers consume, where they think that going in a different direction and utilizing either a different brokerage or a different agent is going to be the best avenue for them, whether they're buying or selling. Unfortunately, there are so many real estate professionals in most marketplaces that you absolutely must learn to distinguish yourself, or you will go the way of Blockbuster and you will be out of business. That is a tough but accurate reality. So distraction is number 1. Competition is number 2. And we just talked about that a little bit. You may not even be the only real estate professional on your block or in your family. So, I mean, and that creates some difficult conversations around Thanksgiving time. And I have been party to those conversations at Thanksgiving time. Not fun. Last but not least is commoditization. And you may not be familiar with that term necessarily. You may have heard it, but in this context, it means that consumers cannot distinguish one real estate professional over another. Why should I use Bill instead of Susan? And not being able to tell the difference between the brokerage that either of them represent because they think that they are interchangeable. That is what commoditization is all about. You are not interchangeable. You bring your own set of unique gifts and talents to the work that you do every day as a real estate professional. The object of the game, my friends, is for you to tap into those very intentionally, very strategically, so that you can bring more of who you already are at your best to the work and play that you do every single day.